humans. I'm here with a junk journal with me video for day, I think 21 of Junk Journal July for 2023. The prompt for this one is contrast. So I'm just choosing a little page in my journal and I've landed on this one. I wanted to have a darkish background, so I've chosen a craft page and I'm just picking out some light papers in various sort of aged or cream coloured tones, I guess. And what I'm doing is getting my trusty little craft knife and cutting out some petals because I want to make a bunch of different flowers. I was just thinking about the idea of contrast, and to me the idea of a pattern is something that can help contrasting elements sort of stand out. Like when you have a pattern, you're more likely to notice a break in the pattern. So I'm cutting out all these little petals and I'm going to make lots of little flowers in these sort of various shades of cream and white and sort of faded aged paper. And I'm just enjoying the process of cutting these out. I do them freehand because it helps keep them a little bit organic looking, I guess. It keeps them from looking too neat and symmetrical and the same. You can see on this piece here there was a brown mark from whatever the print was on the page, and I'm actually using that to add a bit more interest to what's happening on this particular petal. So for this flower, some of the petals will have that sort of darker brown mark on them. I have glue all over my hands from various projects, so they look a bit messy, and I was going to apologise for that, but that would be silly because it's just how I am. I've also got like little bits of black rubber all over my hands because my knife is literally shedding its grip as I work with it. It's pretty old now and it just keeps shedding little bits of black whatever onto my hands. But anyway, in spite of all that, I have little sets of 5 petals for all of these little flowers each. So they'll be sort of roughly the same but slightly different, and that's what they look like when I cut them out. I now want to cut out some little hearts for the flowers where the sort of pollen and the stamen would be. And obviously that's quite fiddly because they're very little, but again, I don't really mind that kind of work. I enjoy it. This is some brown paper that I have painted with yellow gouache, and I'm just selecting little bits that are in the mid-range between that brighter yellow and the cream because that's roughly the tone that I want. And yep, just cutting out tiny little rough circles for that and setting those aside. And then to create the contrast, I'm going to do one flower with pink instead of the cream. So this is one that I painted messily with various tones of sort of peachy pink, and I really like it. So I'm going to cut the same petal shapes and it's going to be pretty much the same size but just a different colour. So I've just been thinking about difference and how we treat people who are different in our various kind of cultural groups and societies, and that's been something that's been weighing on my mind a little bit. I think a lot of people are scared of things that are different to them for various reasons, which I guess is, understandable in a lot of ways, but also something that I think as people we can be bigger than, and we can try and approach each other with open minds and open hearts and actually do some learning when we come across difference rather than fearing, I guess. I've been thinking about that a little bit lately, and so that's kind of what I was pondering as I was working on this, and that's the sort of the thinking that was I guess informing what I was working on here. So you can see me just sticking these on now, which again is quite a repetitive meditative process. I'm using matte medium. I'm sorry if you can hear a jangly bell in the background. Percy has chosen this moment to come and investigate her food bowl and see if there's anything in it. Dinner is in about an hour, so she has, on schedule started her hassling habit. So yeah, she'll be tinkling around the place now until dinner time, so sorry about that. So when I'm adding the little stamen and pollen bits in the middle, rather than putting the glue onto the tiny little dot, I put the glue onto the page and then put the little dot on top of that. So when you're working with really tiny pieces, that's something that can be quite helpful. I worried that this was a little bit too plain, like that the background didn't have any sort of interest and texture on it, but I decided to leave it. I thought anything I do is probably going to make it look too busy. So you're sort of treading the line between too busy and a little bit plain, but I'm just going with it because it's a journal. It's not like a completed artwork. It's just an experiment and an exercise. And as I was looking at it, I decided I wanted to add some words to it as well. And I had this phrase going around in my head as I was working on it. Our existence is resistance. And I'm not going to go into heaps of detail about my thoughts on this because that would take a much longer video. But I just was thinking about how the work of being part of a minority group, and whatever that group may be, whether it's to do with your race or your gender or your ability/disability, whatever it is, it can be really exhausting to continually have to fight for your right to exist and to advocate for yourself and do all of that work. And sometimes it's important to remember that just by continuing to exist, we are resisting the forces of oppression, and the cultural pressures and the social pressures and the all of the things that make it harder for us to be in the world, I guess. And I know that sounds like a bit of a downer, but we've just seen a lot of that lately where I live, and I know that Australia isn't the only place where we see that kind of thing. And sometimes I need to be reminded that continuing to exist is a fight in itself, and it's fighting the fight in itself, and that's a good thing. So stand out, be different, be yourself, and be proud of who you are and all the things that make you who you are, just like a little pink flower in amongst all the other flowers. That's where I was going with this. So, I hope you like this little page. And thank you for watching the video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you are so inclined. And check out the prompts. I'll link Meg below as always, and you'll be able to find the Junk Journal July stuff because it's really great. It brings out all kinds of fun things in your journal, having a little prompt to work with. It's very, very good. I'll see you again really soon. Bye.